Nice. Looking good.
Yeah, looking comfortable.
Shaking in our chairs.
So why are we here? What's happening today?
Apparently, we love making ourselves insanely uncomfortable.
I can't believe we are in a video.
This is
show.
too much. I don't know. It's like a new toy has been introduced to us, and it's very overwhelming, actually.
No, and also all this while, at least me, I enjoy the audio medium, which I do. I don't think I'll ever watch this anyway. So,
But I'm going to go ahead and ask a question, which I think all of us have, but nobody asks. When you're doing Zoom calls and things like that, do you look at yourself or do you look at the other person?
No, I don't look at myself much.
Interesting.
Yeah, I look at the others, especially if it's a workshop or something.
Mm-hmm.
I look to see, like, am I seen? Am I this thing? But I don't like to. But that way, even audio, I don't enjoy listening to my voice. I hardly, apart from editing, I hardly re-listen.
No, I think for me, audio, it's the other way around. I actually don't like listening to my voice that much on audio, but I listen for the content.
Yeah, that's.
But video, I do find myself being a little self-centered that way. And making sure that I'm sitting right and looking nice and all those things. So adds an interesting layer of complexity.
I'm sure it'll get easier, like
I hope so.
Most things in life.
Yeah.
Then you can't stand it anymore. And
yeah, I hope so. I really hope so.
But yeah, why are we here?
We have a podcast. And that podcast seems to be evolving. Is it though? I don't know.
I think it is because I think what we've realized is that we want to talk about a lot more things. Right? And the universe of things that we want to talk about is ever widening, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's good to also, and I think what's important for both of us is to give that voice a voice, like to put it out
all
there.
Those different people, right? Yeah, somewhere I think there is that realization that while the Damn Good Marketing podcast in its original form and format did serve a purpose, and it fulfilled something definitely for both of us. It's also true that I'm not a marketing consultant all the time, and Subha is not running a business all the time. In fact, most of the time we are doing other stuff.
Of late.
Of late. More and more. I'd like to be fancy and talk about all the fancy things we are doing. But also, we are just consuming so much more. I think we are also changing as people, right? Like, we are the same two people who, a week from now, we are going to watch Mughal Azam at NMACC because that's how we roll, apparently. And we didn't have a shred of spontaneity in us previously, but now we seem to. So, while these things are happening, where do we capture that? Where do we become the people that we're becoming?
Especially when someone pings back saying, shall we go for the gold seats?
I am someone. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. So, yeah. It is a song, by the way. You killed that joke. Yeah, we'll talk about Taylor Swift later.
How can we not?
Yeah. Yeah, but for now, I think just becoming and changing and cataloging that change maybe as much for ourselves as, and also giving ourselves permissions to change, I think. This is for the first time in a long, long time, I think we belong to a generation of humanity where it's allowed to be a different person from time to time, right? Like there are no rigid rules around, okay, if this is the job, then you have to do it for 40 years and then you have to retire very gracefully. Or there is no construct around if this you're doing A, then you can't do B, C, and D. So yeah, this is, I think it's a journal of hopefully the people that we are becoming. And it's going to be a very interesting challenge categorizing this on podcast platforms. We have no idea because this is clearly not a marketing alone podcast anymore. And also, I really feel like some of these things have become so fundamental to our identities that we don't have to call it that anymore. I think I feel like a marketing consultant now, which I didn't when I did season 1 of the podcast. And that's what it reinforced in many ways. But now I know that there are certain things I can do and there are certain things I can't do in the realm of that job. So I think now that insecurity has gone out of the picture, maybe there's more to come. Hopefully not more insecurity, but let's see, who knows.
I think, like you said, when we started Small Talk, I think it took us a couple of seasons to even put podcaster in our bio somewhere. We kept forgetting.
Yeah.
Honestly, we just kept forgetting that that's also an identity.
Yeah.
And that's also something that we do. So now we are kind of owning, like it's already who we are.
Integrating. And I think in some ways doing a video version is making ourselves slightly uncomfortable because that discomfort does catalyze some interesting changes. I think we both felt that at some point, especially in our respective podcasts last season, that we've become so comfortable with being these people that there's no variety, there's nothing interesting that's happening as a result of that collaboration. So with us putting our faces out there, maybe it's a different change and definitely a very interesting change because I can still feel the discomfort of trying to talk while also wondering, is the frame okay? Am I coughing? Are my hands doing weird things? Who knows? Right? So yeah, all that is happening parallelly. So, but what is this podcast going to be about, right? I think it can't be about everything. So it's got to be about something.
I think we hit upon like marketing was such a huge word. The word that came to both of us this time, separately and together, was culture.
Yeah.
Right? And so we decided even before we started that, hey, we're a culture podcast, which meant what? It was really like a ticket to say whatever we felt like.
Pretty much.
That's
pretty much, right? So yeah, I think this is going to be a commentary on a lot of different things coming from two people who live normal lives, like, you know, and I feel like maybe we need more of those perspectives, like where is the non-celebrity perspective on things? So we are the non-celebrities and,
very much so.
Very much so. And this is our perspective on things.
Yeah.
Mostly Indian things, but also global things that I think everyone understands.
I mean, a lot of what we do consume is from the West, so to speak. It influences our thinking. It prompts us to compare with what's happening here.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of comparison, it was quite heartbreaking. I realized only yesterday that apparently Fighter is a box office dud.
Really?
I had not expected
I haven't seen
it. It's a reasonably good movie, and for the kind of budgets that they had versus a Top Gun, I think what they pulled was amazing. But it only did well that Republic Day weekend, and then that following Monday it started going downhill, which is very surprising to me. I don't know. Sometimes we like Hrithik Roshan, right? Like as a person, something about him is pleasant, and he's an approachable Greek god, if I could put it that way. And some of his more character-oriented work has also been amazing. But why are the movies not working? They
need time to grow on you. Like I remember when he did Lakshya. I think that was a bit of a box office.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But it was a beautiful movie. Some of the best, even some of the best war scenes, very real.
Yeah.
And then the character arc. Zindagi Na Milegi, of course. I don't know if it was an instant success.
Yeah, but it was more of a cult classic, right? It's a movie on which I think a lot of us grew up in some ways. Yeah. And also that whole idea of being a creator, as we are opening this up and we're saying, oh, it's a culture podcast now. Sure, it's more fun, but it's also so much more of an abyss because the one person who comes to mind is Superwoman, right? Lily Singh. And she was such a
I didn't realize you're
YouTube
going there. Okay.
sensation.
Okay.
I mean, that's what we can talk about anything. So we're going to talk about.
I forgot that she's.
Yeah, exactly the point
Ah.
that I'm trying to, make in terms of saying, one, she was a YouTube sensation to begin with. And she had these very interesting thoughts, ideas on being an Indian origin person living abroad. And it really clicked with so many people. And then a bunch of things went wrong in quick succession, right? Like one, she was told she's not allowed to use the name Superwoman anymore, which would have been okay if not for the fact that that was also the time when she was experimenting with other identities, becoming a late night show host, writing a book. And if you really think about it, nothing that she was doing was wrong, right? She was contemplating her own evolution as a creator. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work so wildly. Like, where is the guardrail in terms of being a creator? And there are so many things we hate about our favorite creators. The moment they start, they put a subscription in place, we don't appreciate that all that much. The moment they start selling something, we don't appreciate it all that much. But somewhere it has to start making money, right? Like,
I think for them also, you can sense that there's some kind of drive to create more. And when you have to create more, you naturally think, what can I create differently?
That's true.
Right? And if it works, it works. Otherwise, I go back to what I was doing. But even in terms of this space itself, like kind of entertainment, for example, Kanan Gill, his comedy is outstandingly intelligent, right?
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. Then he goes and does this random movie in which he's going to marry a Norwegian. Like I don't know, like where that came from. Like, that was a little random. And then the book, which I knew is not a genre I'm comfortable with, and so I'm struggling.
Yeah. Right? In fact, I was just going to say this morning, I was thinking, does Kanan Gill ever wonder whether people are engaging with his book? Like,
yeah.
And I just want to tell him, not that he's listening, but if he is, people are still reading Kanan.
Yeah.
Give us a minute.
Really, give us a minute because it's. I can't do too many pages at a time.
Yeah. And I appreciate the fact that during the book launch, he said as much. He said, please put yourself through difficult things. Like, don't become the easy people. So at least I have a heads up and I'm getting through it.
But it's a big chance he's taking because you're like, okay, I have to put myself through so many difficult things. Why does Kanan Gill's book have to be one of them, right? So
yeah,
I could put it
this podcast for that matter. But yeah,
the other one, other person whom I like is who came out of nowhere for me and even for herself is Zarna Garg, right? As a that a very very unexplored space of the middle-aged auntie in the US.
Yeah.
And she's really owned it. And then suddenly she has a podcast with her family. And now I think she's in a movie or a show or something. She's in some kind of a piece. And it takes us also time, right, to move along with them. Yeah,
that's true.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. And maybe that's all there is to it. Maybe there's no point overthinking that evolution as such.
Yeah. So don't overthink this.
Yeah. We are swinging a few swings.
Give it a minute.
Yeah. Like, is this a season? Is this who knows? Right?
Yeah.
Like, it could be any number of things. Will we make more episodes? At least one more because we've discussed it. After that, what happens? Who knows? I mean, yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is us swinging a swing and seeing what happens. So welcome to the Damn Good Podcast. The culture edition. I never thought those words would tumble out of my mouth.
We are damn good at culture. Yes, we are.
Good at culture. Strong opinions loosely held.
Yes. I like that line, I mean.
I didn't come up with it.
I know,
but yeah.
I kind of like it. So we have to hold things loosely. We have to let go.
Very lightly.
Yeah. Once in a while to let go of things. Yeah, so I think we should shoot this out to a few people we know.
Yeah.
And let the bricks come back. And then we'll be back with some more. I'm sure.
Yeah.
If not for you, then for us.
Yeah, mostly for us.
Bye.
Bye.